Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Chaos and Order, art by Susan Holt. That's me. I have the camera pointed down at the mandala I am working on, and I'm going to check my tech over here real quick to make sure that I am actually live and that you guys can hear me. All right. Yes and yes. Fantastic. Okay, touch my mandala so I can see what portions of it are in the screen. Top and bottom are good. Sides are fine. You don't need to see the sides because it's all the same design. So anyhow, yesterday I did not go live because I overworked my wrist because I I was trying to get as much done on here as I absolutely could yesterday. So when I went live, I wasn't going to keep you for a long time. Excuse me. But that backfired because I overworked my wrist. So today, I'm going to just pick up where I left off and we're going to work on this puppy together. See how far I get. I am not going to do a whole lot on here today because I have already signed up for a life drawing session tonight at the Arizona Artists Guild. So I do need to kind of spare my wrist for that. So you guys have seen me paint on this. And now all of the painting is done. So, well, except for the touch-ups, the very last little bits of touch-ups. So what I'm doing now is outlining with a pen. This is an archival ink pen designed specifically for artists. And these pens I really do like to work with. I had a bunch of refillable pens that I worked with quite some years ago, and those things were more trouble than they're worth, honestly, especially if you don't use them for a while. With these disposable pens, I know they're disposable, and I'd really rather have a refill pen that I didn't have to deep clean every time I wanted to use it. But that is not the reality of art pens that we live with in the world today. So I am just going to stick to what works for me. So here, I hope you can see, this one has not been outlined yet, but this one has been. And you can definitely see the difference as I'm holding it up to the camera and how it looks before. It looks good from a distance before, but I want it to also look good up close. So that is what re-outlining everything does. And for those of you who haven't watched me make a mandala before, my process is basically pencil line drawing, and then I go over it with a thinner pen than this, thinner nibbed pen, and then I put the undercoat of paint on. Then I go in and I do shading and the teeny tiny little details. And this is all done with a brush. This is all done this way. I don't use my dot tools on this because this is not canvas and acrylic paint. This is watercolor, well actually this is gouache, Gouache, gouache paint and watercolor paper, hot press watercolor paper. This one might not be hot press. Nope, this one is cold press. So the difference between hot press and cold press is cold press has some tooth to it, and hot press is very smooth like it's been ironed, hence the term hot press. So this is a piece of paper that I had cut down for another project. So I already had it square, and I decided that it would make a beautiful paper for mandala. But because it is cold press, it is a little bumpy and uneven on the surface. So getting all these straight lines on this paper without a bunch of difficulty, it really does show off my skill as an artist and as a drafts person. Drafting is drawing. Someone who draws drafts and is therefore a drafts person. Especially when it's kind of technical like this. Artists and draftsmen have a lot of the same tools and techniques and abilities. It's just a difference on how we use them and how artsy-fartsy we get with them. My dad would call it artsy-fartsy. My dad is an engineer, so you know. But don't let him fool you, because he's also done rock carving and some other art stuff in his life. So his mom, my grandmother, was an artist. His sister, my aunt, is an artist. His mom was an artist. On my mom's side, my mom was a quilter. So there's a lot of art stuff that my family does. We also, a friend posted today about engineers. You know, what do you call an engineer? And I said, well, mostly family. Because we have 2 civil engineers. We had 3, but my uncle has passed. A geophysical engineer, a mechanical engineer, mechanical engineer, an electrical engineer, and then we also have someone in the family who is a fireman, and he is the engineer at their fire station because he gets to drive the fire engine. So engineering and art, for me, are 2 sides of the same coin. There are art projects where I don't want to be precise, but then there are backgrounds in art that I don't want to be precise. But most of my art throughout my life has been very precise. So I need to use all of those tools at my disposal to make these precise drawings. And I know it looks like I'm almost done and I'm almost at the end, and comparatively I am, but the only circle or dot that I have gone back and outlined is the big pearl in the center. So I still have all of those to do. I really want to get the rest of the lines done first, and then I can go back and do the circles, because I wanted everything to be outlined and in its right place before I tackle the circles. I know some people would do it a different way. They would do the circles first, and within the framework I put in at the very beginning, when I did the pencil drawing of this mandala, I did the big outlines first, and then I kind of worked my way into the circles. So that's why I want to go back and do it that way, is do all the big outlines first and then go back to the circles, because I know that is how I laid out this drawing, the original drawing for this piece. And I know that if I go back in the wrong order at this point, like if I did all of the circles first before I did the big outlines, my black outlines that show where each individual section is would be off. So that's why I'm doing it this way. That works for my hand, it works for my brain. So that is what I'm doing. That's how I'm doing it. I know not all artists think like me, which is a good thing. Because everybody has their own way of creating, making art, and putting marks on the paper. And I know that some of you out there are artists as well, and you're thinking, well, you know, if I did this design, I would have done it in a different order. I would have put this here instead of that there. Great. I encourage you to do that and make one of your very own. But tonight I'm going to the Arizona Artists Guild, and I am going to go to life drawing. I'm gonna leave hubby and the animals here at home. Get out of the house. It's gonna be great. Then I get to, so during life drawing class we do, or not life drawing, studio time. It's not really a class. We do several 2-minute warm-up sketches, and then some 5-minute warm-up sketches, and a couple of 10 minutes, and a couple of 20 minutes. So I like to really warm up with the 2 and the 5-minute sketches, so I will draw the whole body and work on my proportions. And then when we get to the 10 and 20-minute sessions, I really enjoy focusing on the portraits, the head and shoulders and neck, because if you have been following me for a while now, you know that I have decided that I am finally, at 54 years old, at a point in my life that I think I could tackle portraits. I want to tackle portraits. So, with that being said, I pay my little fee and I go up to the Artists Guild, and then I have access to draw that model for the evening, which is fantastic. And the person who schedules our models does a fantastic job. So there's always an interesting person to draw, which is great. And most of them hold perfectly still. Our scheduler knows that I don't like one particular model because she's so wiggly. I don't want to say wiggly. She just can't sit still, literally. So he knows that when he books her, he sends me a text and goes, the gal you don't like is here. So I don't go on those Thursdays. But if it's a good model like we have tonight, I absolutely will go and work on my skills. And the best part about life drawing is when you're working on all of the perspectives of the human body, because the human body has so many different shapes in it, it really hones in your skills for other drawing as well. So it's good practice so that when I'm working on things like my mandalas, I can look at something and go, oh, that's really way too far off, or that doesn't look quite right. And in the design phase, when I'm drawing in pencil, then I can go back in and just erase something and make it look better. So it's a good, life drawing is a good place to go and draw and hone your skills. And it does this better than almost any kind of drawing I have come across. For my brain, and well, for most people's brains, it's better to hone your skills during life drawing than landscapes or anything else. There's so many shapes and planes of the human body that it kind of encompasses everything, which is really wonderful. If you have an artist guild near you and you want to hone your drawing skills, life drawing is a great place to do that. I know some of you who have really keen eyes or have zoomed in see that sometimes I get little places in here where I wasn't really precise with laying down the paint, like the base coat. But don't worry, I will go back and fix that once I'm done with the outline. Because most of the little pieces of paint that kind of go into another section of paint, most of those get covered up when I do the black outline, but some of them do not. So I will go back in after this black outline is on and look for those tiny little spaces, and then I'll fill them in afterwards, or I'll get the right color. Like right here, there's a little blob of gray that went into the green. I'll just go fix that later, because I can. And if I fix it before I put the outline on, sometimes I go too far one way or another, and I get too much paint in a section that's not supposed to be there. So this way I can just do little tiny dabs and get the paint exactly where I want it. And you'll see me putting my drawing hand off to the side. It's because I'm dabbing off some of the ink on this paper towel, and that's because sometimes I get a little nugget of paint that didn't quite get mixed in as well as it should have, and it makes the nib do weird things. So we'll just dab off my nib of my pen. Forgot a space over here. And that takes care of it. Makes it draw smoothly again. And when you're working on a painting that's water-based paint, you definitely want to make sure you have a pen that you can just kind of wipe the nib off on a paper towel, so your lines don't get all clumpy and gross. Those are technical art terms, clumpy and gross. And the reason yesterday that I had to stop and not do the live yesterday was because when I hold this pen, I do have to hold onto it tight enough to push it past some of the uneven paint and make a cohesive, concise line. So I do have to have a really good grip on this. And sometimes that throws these muscles and my wrist into a little temper tantrum. And that's okay, as long as I don't have to do anything after. So I think I'm going to stop at the end of this one because I do have to go to life drawing tonight. I don't want to wear out my hand and wrist before I get there. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and stop there. I'll give you a close-up here so you can see the difference between these two, which are now drawn in with the black outline, and this one, which has not been drawn back in with the black outline. So I will work on this some more throughout the week. Oh, I see Jason and Faye are here. Hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome. So I will work on this a little bit more as I have time. I've got a busy afternoon and evening tonight. I don't know if I'll work on this weekend. I've got some other stuff to do. Oh, and I have a couple of announcements. Up at the Arizona Artists Guild, if you go on the website, we are now accepting applications for artists for our summer art fair. It's going to be the first weekend of June. So go look up that information. And on May 10th, which is, no, it's not May 10th. Is it May 10th? Whatever Mother's Day is this year, we are also going to be offering a Painted Rocks Day. Kids 10 and older can come with their parent, and we're going to have a little afternoon tea, and we're going to have mimosas, which is going to be basically the orange juice and ginger ale, and we'll have some snacks and munchies, and we'll also have some little gifties and some prizes and stuff. So if you want to paint rocks with me and you think it'll be a fun thing to do with you and your kid or kiddos, go to the website. It should be up next week on the website. I don't think it's up yet because the president and I just started talking about this today. So more information on that to come, but it's going to be super duper fun. And for those of you who like my art, I will have a table set up at the AAG Art Fair that first weekend in June. So do put that on your calendars, save the date for me. I would appreciate seeing your lovely, lovely faces at the art fair. And I think that's going to do it for me. As you can see, I'm a busy girl. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and a wonderful rest of your week and an artful weekend. And I will see you soon. Talk to you later. Bye, everyone.